You are caught in a terrible dream. Your dream has also three planes. What you see, what's happening in your dream, what is happening in your heart because of your experiences, and what's happening in your thoughts. All the dream, you see how big it is. But when you begin to wake up, all the three worlds of the dream becomes a tiny drop. And you sneeze. And you wake up. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnana Murtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha Upasham Prakarana, and section number is 21. Nothing new. How to attain enlightenment. That's the central theme of Yoga Vasistha. How to bring profound change in your mental process. And in order to have that effective movement, your focus has to go into three directions: Mala, Vikshepa, and Avarana. Mala relates to gross impurities, anger, hate, greed. Vikshepa relates to subtle impurities existing in your subconscious, unconscious. And avarana relates to the very root cause called ignorance. In the process of spiritual enlightenment, mind has to go through tremendous transformation, backed up by listening, reflection, meditation, and your practice of integral yoga in daily life. In brief, sadhana has to be effective to bring changes in your mind. With that, as we continue, we'll go on giving you more insight. When the mind is filled with bliss, the whole world seems to overflow with nectar. Very simple message. Don't become too concerned with the problems of the world. And the idea, let me be selfless. Let me solve their problems, then I will sit down and solve mine. If that is the way you want, it will never be possible. Simple parable is told to explain this point. There was a great prince very loved by the royal family. And he wanted to enhance the glory and fame of his parents. So he wanted to see his whole capital city so well arranged and well set in his mind, then his parents will go viral, will get so much publicity. But he didn't know what type of task he had before him. Because he thought of making all his streets filled with velvety cover, so that everybody walks glorified. Never was it a king like that, who made every passage so joyous. I will not go into too much detail. The idea is he became extremely frustrated until his guru told him, all that you have to do is a very simple job. Put shoes on your feet, velvety shoes. Then wherever you go, it will be all velvety. No, profounder way. Change your understanding. Not really change it, restore it. Your understanding of your soul is intrinsically profound. Your soul is one with God, is God Himself. So if your understanding is freed of its sickness, if your understanding is freed of its abnormality, then you have put on the shoes, Shital Manda Sugandha. Your mind has nothing else that supports it. The umbrella of presence of Brahman. Once you have that umbrella, and think of the shoes also. The world of misery doesn't exist. Put it another way, if you have that enlightened state, all the challenges presented by your life, those challenges will not break you down. They will make you shake, but not bake. Shaking is good. See the trees shake, how wonderful it looks. And in the shaking process, they become stronger and stronger. That's the purpose of being a yogi, being a spiritual. Not to develop a kind of expectation in future that you will have no problem at all. No problem. But the vision is, no matter how big a problem, you have a greater strength, a greater vision, a greater ability to fly beyond. So, if your feet are covered with soft leather shoes, no matter where you go, you find softness at every step. की रही भावना जैसी प्रभु मूर्ति देखी तिन तैसी. Tulsidas in devotional language. If your mind has developed purity, then the bhavana, the feeling that expresses through your personality, will be like you open a window and the light comes in. The feeling will be shining with the light of God's presence. Once you look at the world through the eyes of the sun, there is nowhere darkness doesn't exist. It never existed. And that again, when I'm stating that, that's the climax. Your spiritual movement is progressive. In the beginning stage, you face challenges and you develop a miraculous strength in your heart that, led by your sadhana, your japa, you are able to wait and watch. And while you wait, you are not allowing the mind to sink in dejection, but rather be fluttered with imagination. Because what's coming is God's grace. How miraculous it will be, you have no idea. So do not trap your future by your limited mind. Leave the future free and learn to wait, do your sadhana, wait, watch. Because what you are going to experience cannot come within the range of your thoughts and imaginations. Anything that comes within the range of your thought, this is what I want to be, you must realize it's just a very biggest stupidity. No matter how big your imagination. In the same manner, if your mind is enveloped in the soft leather of spiritual vision, you will find auspiciousness, goodness, peace, and bliss. Once your mind has become well nourished by devotional vision, that all things in this world have a divine backing. Life has a divine purpose. Your adversities are not really adversities. Even death is not a cursed situation. I'm leading you to a bigger range. But the idea is, Godward movement frees you of all agonizing thoughts. If that is so, in your life you experience increasing auspiciousness, goodness, peace, bliss. Day by day, you are experiencing utsav, a festivity. Today's festivity was just confined to a village. Tomorrow it will be a little bigger. I'm joking a little. I'm saying it quickly, and that real experience is a matter of waiting, watching, patience. But it awaits every individual. Because deep down, you are essentially the divine self. Truth shines. And that truth is going to shine whether you want it or not, doesn't matter. Now come to a very practical way to understand. Develop a positive mind. And even though it doesn't seem very positive, allow the positive thoughts positive words to enter your mind. Positive wins, because positive is the truth. So even though when you bring the positive thought, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm Shuddhosi, I'm pure, Buddhosi, I'm enlightened. I've conquered anger, hate, I'm full of generosity. My heart is soft. Though this may seem like you are not sincere, but mystically you are not only talking about sincerity, this is the truth of the matter. You are essentially divine. So whether the mind likes it or not, you create the whisper of the truth. That's the whole sadhana's foxy method. You will find auspiciousness, goodness, peace, and bliss in every condition of your life. While facing prosperity, you will find same thing. Adversity, you will find same. Sometimes, surprisingly, in adversity, you will find more touch of God within yourself than in prosperity. But that doesn't mean that you work for adversity. Vairagya leads the mind to fullness, but increasing desires of the heart only bring about mental contraction. Vairagya, dispassion, detachment, the literal meaning, but real understanding. As you begin to develop deep insight into the fact that the pleasures of the world cannot make you happy. So no matter how many pleasures you can secure, you are not going to be fulfilled. And this understanding should become deeply imprinted in your heart. Again, the movement is progressive. As you go on assimilating the great truth, that the world is like layers and layers of illusion. And as you go on breaking the layers, there is the internal fullness. You become better and better. The insight, I am not the physical body. That's one layer. The insight, I am not the senses, not the vital forces. The insight, I'm not the ego. All that I'm keep saying quickly, but that's what all the layers of illusion you gradually begin to transcend. In this process, mind begins to expand. But when you continue to hold on to illusions, I am the body, my happiness depends upon buying that house and having a particular car. I'm joking, but that's to understand. If that is so, your mind has become so restricted, it's become narrow-minded. On the other hand, you have experienced the joy of little spark of devotion in your heart, a little sattva, peace, experience of being compassionate. If any positive thing has entered, your mind now expands. We talk of expansion in three ways. Bhutakash, you look for an expansive view of life. So buy a house that has a good picturesque view all around it, that's it. Bhutakash. Next one is called Chittakash. Chittakash, mind that allows your feeling to expand. Your love blossoms. Now your space is much bigger, even though you may be confined to your own room and lock the door. But in your inner level, you are in a big space. And then a space of all spaces, Chidakash, the absolute attainment of liberation. So keeping that in view, allegorically, Yoga Vasistha describes, just as when a river becomes a scanty of water during winter, it begins to reveal its hidden ugliness in the form of mud, snakes, crocodiles, and other creatures. When mind contracts, then that's what you are waiting for. Mud, snakes, crocodiles. Crocodiles are called magar. I'll give you an allegorical picture of magar. Magar. Your mind never allows you to feel settled. Something has happened and it's a joyous news, but sit back and say, magar, if something else happens, a wind comes, what will happen? Magar term means it's a sense of if and but. In your language, you have things are everything settled. But suddenly your mind says, but if things happen in this way, then what will happen? This whole house is yours. And oh, wonderful. But if earthquake comes, what has entered like an alligator? Crocodile. The inner happiness is constantly disturbed by all these crocodiles and snakes sneak into your mental process, the wrong way of thinking. And mud, gross impurities. So contraction of mind brings all these troubles. Expansion of your mind frees you of the troubles. And mind is there with you. And that's where you have to mind your mind. When the mind is led to its contraction by increasing desires, cravings, attachments, it becomes abundant with impurities such as anger, greed, pride, egoism, selfishness, violence, and various forms of evil. All that is described as asuri sampath, the demoniac qualities, they begin to develop. And just to remind you, in the Gita, Lord Krishna says, Dambha, Darpa, Abhiman. Dambha means hypocrisy. Darp, conceit. Abhiman, pride. Pride is ordinary inflation of your ego. But conceit becomes something oozes out of the inflation. Krodh, anger. Parushya, harsh words. And ignorance. When you highlight and live your life backed up by these things I have said, hypocrisy, conceit, pride, anger, if that becomes your fabric of your existence, then your name is Asur. You are a demon. You become the embodiment of disharmony. Asur is a musical word. Sur being in harmony. Putting all the notes in a wonderful way, it creates melody and inspiration. Then it is Sur movement. But when they become disharmonized, then it becomes Asur movement. So Davi's Asuri Sampat makes you Asur. Out without harmony, without integration. Davi Sampat brings you in harmony. The chitta of a sage is like a forest, abounding with trees laden with the fruits of virtue. Creates Asuri Sampat, the negative demoniac qualities. The same mind now begins to create blossoms. I'll just point out to you 8 bhava pushpas in devotional scriptures in India. If you offer divine flowers to God who is enshrined in your heart, that becomes a powerful spiritual movement. But what are those flowers? Those flowers are called bhava pushpa, the flower of divine feeling. Ahimsa, non-violence, that's the first flower. Ahimsa means not be violent. It's always described in the terms of a negative, not violent. But real meaning is full of love. All is the self. Just like you are loving to yourself. Even if your teeth bite your tongue, neither do you smack the tongue nor the feet, nor the teeth. You help them both. That spirit coming to all your relations, to the whole world view, if that type of a heart develops, that's ahimsa. That's the bone of the Dadichi that destroys all negative forces. And that's whatever degree of ahimsa you practice, that becomes a flower being offered. Every little good habit in daily life, you have some disturbing communication with people around you, but instead of being disturbed, you hold in your heart a sense of prayer, a goodwill, and find an opportunity to do good to the person who has been inimical, as it were, and bring a transformation. I'm giving a broad view. It's not an easy job, but that life requires art. And art can be very simple and joyous. But you are not an artist, it's a very difficult thing. But devotional movement makes you an artist beyond your imagination. The chitta of a sage is like a forest abounding with trees laden with blossoms. And virtuous qualities, Daivi Sampat, the divine virtues that I have been describing. I have started telling about 8 flowers. Ahimsa, non-violence. Indriya Nigraha, controlling the senses and mind. Daya, compassion towards all beings. Shanti, not to handle any situation in a state of unforgiving mind, but the mind that settles down, that Shanti term is Shanti. Shanti. Ksha, your eyes. Your eyes become calm, relaxed. Shama, serenity. That's another flower. The spirit of austerity. Austerity not to be viewed as something troublesome. Austerity is an opportunity. And when you view your challenging situations with the spirit that God has given you opportunity. God trusts your strength. Dhyan, meditation, that's another flower. Pursuit of truth, flower of flowers. So these are the flowers that blossom. The mind is after these flowers. So your mind becomes Udyan. Udyan is garden. If you want more deeper meaning, yan refers to plane. It's the aeroplanes, it's called yan. Udyan, that allows you to fly higher and higher. But the chitta in a person who is unenlightened is like a desolate orchard that has been plundered by restless monkeys of anger, greed, hate, and lots of cravings. For he who has no craving in his heart, the 3 worlds become as small as a lotus stalk. 3 worlds means all your possibility for gain and for fortune depends upon your 3 planes. The physical world, physical reality, your sentimental reality, and your reality based on your understanding. These are the 3 lokas. And these 3 lokas are vast. If you have desires, worldly desires, then these 3 worlds become vaster and vaster. And you become smaller and smaller in these 3 worlds. On the other hand, if if your attention moves towards attaining enlightenment, who am I, towards the self, then all the three worlds begin to shrink until they become just a little lotus stalk. And all the worlds that you have been so interested in, including the sense of individuality, becomes like a dewdrop shining upon that big lotus stalk, waiting to slip away forever. That's the definition of nirvana. Om Mani Padme Hum. First stage, put the entire world and your own personality. Shrink it down to a little drop and settle it on a lotus. All this should be done on a lotus type of under feeling. Once you have come to that state, sublimation occurs automatically. Poetically, the drop slips into the shining sea. That's the poetic way of describing liberation. To make it very simple to understand. You are caught in a terrible dream. Your dream has also three planes. What you see, what's happening in your dream, what is happening in your heart because of your experiences, and what's happening in your thoughts. All the dream, you see how big it is. But when you begin to wake up, all the three worlds of the dream becomes a tiny drop. And you sneeze. And you wake up. Can you bring yourself to a state, a mystic state? Say cheese and sneeze. The world is out forever. Goodbye to the world. Now, see the poetic beauty of the Yoga Vasistha. That same thing is being described in a very allegorical way. For him, thousands of miles shrink into the space covered by a cow's foot. And thousands of ages contract into a moment. The coolness of tranquility that is experienced by a yogi who is desireless is not to be found even in the cooling light of the moon, nor in the serene caves of the Himalayas, nor even in the forest of redolent sandalwood trees. So you don't have to go after all these things. The beauty of the desireless mind far surpasses even the beauty of the full moon, or even the beauty of the milky ocean wherein Lord Vishnu abides. Now, led it to a shocking situation. The idea is, when you are told God abides in the milky ocean, the description is figurative. If you take it literally, then that is not the real. The real one is million times greater than the description of the milky ocean, of Sheshanag and all that. All the description is meant to help your mind by giving allegorical picture. The allegorical picture matching up with the need of your mind is not the God. But that doesn't mean that your upasana is defective. No, continue with your worship of God through that limited form, with the deeper understanding that as you advance, the reality will reveal. Your mind itself will undergo a change. And what you are meditating upon will not stay in the same stage. You are going to rise beyond. It's just like out of an egg, you are going to jump out of it. When the tree of craving is down, there grows in its place the tree of auspiciousness, with ramifying branches of numerous divine qualities. It's a poetic language. Craving turns your mind into a kind of a wild jungle with a lot of uncultured monkeys, and snakes and vultures, hawks. But when cravings for the world, worldly pleasure, are transmuted into love of God, now the entire forest becomes totally different, like a spring season has entered. Every little tree is beautiful. Peacocks are dancing. As the desires of the mind dissolve, a yogi develops vairagya. That's what we mean by vairagya, allowing the negative to move away and the positive spring season enter. Vairagya leads to viveka, the type of knowledge that reveals that you are not the body, mind, you are Chidananda, Brahman. Craving is like an inauspicious owl that forebodes misery in the form of poverty, disease, sickness, and death. Craving, you have to understand it simply relates to thirst for worldly pleasure, bhoga-based mind. Bhoga-based mind will not allow your soul to be liberated. If you are not liberated, you are coming back to the cycle of birth and death again and again. And what the cause of all that is craving. Sanskrit word for craving is Trishna. Trishna is a combination of 3 points, 3 ashanas. The desire for progeny, putreshana. Desire for wealth, vitteshana. Desire for fame, desire for becoming popular, go viral. That's called lokeshana. Putreshana, vitteshana, lokeshana, crush them together, Trishna. Remove them, but in order to remove them, say Krishna. All the 3 have their basis in God. So recognize God behind all this. So Trishna is ousted by Krishna. O Rama, the desires of the heart are the fetters that bind the soul. When we talk of fetters, granthis, three granthis. Granthis are knots of the heart. Karma, kama, avidya. Karmic bondage were knotted with karma. That means your soul has to have a physical body in order for its evolution. That's knot of karma. Then you're knotted with, you are blended with, you are dependent upon the world of your sentiments, feelings, and your desires. It's called kama granthi. And then finally, the source of all that is ignorance. And ignorance plays a vital role in human being. You intentionally like to promote ignorance. Someone invites you, come to satsanga. You will understand your problem better. You say, oh no, satsanga. Last time I had a very bad prasad there. So, any opportunity that presented to you for allowing your inner understanding to blossom, shut the door to it. It's called love of ignorance. We are entering to the next section, section 22. And it opens up with the story of Bali, not Bali, Bali, King Bali. King Bali's dispassion and his recollection of the teachings he received from his father. This Bali story is highlighting totally different from what you read from other scriptures. The mention will be there, but what you are being brought out is other scriptures deal with the parable aspect. Here, the philosophy aspect. In parable aspect, Bali becomes so inflated in ego, but at the same time he has internal love for God. God comes to him in the dwarf form. He ends up being absolutely surrendered to God. The Vamana avatar plays his role. But what's the real meaning behind all that? Is a shift comes in Bali's mind from pride to humility, backed up by spiritual teaching and reflecting upon the teaching and assimilating it. That's what now Yoga Vasistha presents. O Rama, hearken to this story of King Bali, which will enable you to attain wisdom and enlightenment. By the force of a sudden awakening of spiritual reflection, King Bali attained enlightenment. You too must attain the same. Of course, the style of teaching. Vasistha says something, Rama becomes deeply interested. Rama said, O sage, by your grace, I have acquired supreme peace within my mind. The clouds of craving have dispersed. I am like the ocean of nectar surging with boundless joy. However, for sage, I am never full or satisfied with your nectarine stories. That understand greed for listening to more and more is not a negative quality. That's a virtue, profound virtue. So Rama asks, O glorious sage, relate to me the manner in which Bali, who was the king of demons, came to acquire the transcendental truth. Says Vasistha said, O Rama, attend to this most enlightening story. By listening to it, you will attain the knowledge of the self. In this world system, there is a plane of the nether world known as Patala. It is inhabited by multi-hooded serpents as well as by numerous demons and other beings. This is old style way of making the story more interesting and suspenseful. The practical reality is that's what you are looking at the world, is the world of Virochana. Constantly news come to your mind, bringing all the junk, nothing inspiring. Once upon a time, King Bali, the illustrious son of King Virochana was a sage, became the monarch of the demons. By his might and valor, he conquered even the gods and became the unobstructed monarch of the three worlds. For countless years, he continued to rule the gods, men and demons, as well as all other beings. He enjoyed a life abounding with all types of pleasure. But as time elapsed, like the course of a river rolling about a whirlpool, he witnessed the unending flux of generations of demons, gods, numerous other beings. Gradually, a spirit of distaste towards all enjoyments began to unfold within his heart. In a storyline, as if he watched all for years. Simple message. That's, read the history. Before your eyes, you have all the descriptions of big people, how they came, how they died. Seated on the uppermost balcony of his many-storied palace. That's the art of reflection, manana. When you study and want to reflect upon it. Allow your personality to become relaxed. Allow your consciousness to develop an ascending movement, as if you are coming to the great height of a palace. Literally, people do that sometimes. If you want to enjoy a procession in a more relaxed way, go up your building, the upper story, and watch. But here it is allegorical. Go into the upper story. Don't stay with your senses. Don't stay with your troubled emotions. Go up and up. And then come to that stage where you can have Sakshi Bhavana, as if you are simply watching. Seated on the uppermost balcony of his many-storied palace. That's the art of reflection, manana. When you study and want to reflect upon it, allow your personality to become relaxed. Allow your consciousness to develop an ascending movement, as if you are coming to the great height of a palace. Literally, people do that sometimes. If you want to enjoy a procession in a more relaxed way, go up your building, upper story, and watch. But here it is allegorical. Go into the upper story. Don't stay with your senses. Don't stay with your troubled emotions. Go up and up. And then come to that stage where you can have sakshi bhavana, as if you are simply watching. He gazed upon his empire and began to reflect. How long am I to continue to rule these worlds? What purpose is served by indulging in the pleasures of the senses again and again? So sit in the upper story of your mental concentration, close to samadhi, and look around. How long will you be in this world, going through the cycle of birth and death? Do you want to come back to be a baby again? And suffer from dental problems? And look at it, that you have already gone through so many of them. And not only you, all people, all the jivas have gone through it. These sense enjoyments are delightful only when the mind is overpowered by ignorance and lack of thoughtfulness. All things look wonderful, but from upper story, thoughtfulness. Now we are looking not the way you would look if you are the lesser level. Lesser level, you are not looking, you are tapped by it. In a higher level, you are detached and you have an overview of your life. It's positive, it's negative. Now you have a better insight. And that's what sadhana allows you to do it day by day. It allows you a time, you go to your upper story. And look through the window, invoke the sun. And now you gain certain inspiration. Living in a very busy life, sometimes you don't record your inspiration, but your inspiration enters your unconscious. So your meditation, your japa never goes in vain. And it works wonders in your life. So with this we'll conclude. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.